Hi, this is Mark Smith with Family Tree Counseling Associates, and I'm going to be speaking on the topic 20 characteristics of adult children of alcoholics. As those of you who follow our channel, you'll know that my partner Jerry Wise has made many videos on the topic of adult children of alcoholics, and I have not. And the reason for that was, I guess I looked at it more globally, that if one grows up in a dysfunctional family and has the erratic behavior of unhealthy parents, that even if they're not alcoholics, that they certainly have many of the characteristics of alcoholics. So, however, I did some research, and I came up with a quote from the leader of the adult children of alcoholics movement, if you will, the writer Janet Wojcicki, who wrote Adult Children of Alcoholics many years ago. And this is what she had to say. She said, "Adult Children of Alcoholics was originally published with only the children of alcoholics in mind. But since its first publication, we've learned that the material discusses and applies to other types of dysfunctional families as well. If you did not grow up with alcoholism, but lived, for example, with other compulsive behaviors such as gambling, drug abuse, overeating, or you experienced chronic illness or profound religious attitudes, or were adopted or lived in foster care or other potentially dysfunctional systems, you may find that you identify a great deal with the characteristics described here. It appears that much of what is true for children of alcoholics is also true for others, and that this understanding can help reduce the isolation of countless persons who also thought they were different because of their life experience." So Janet Wojcicki, lets me in the club. I wanted to be in the club too. My parents were not alcoholics. My dad was a gambler, and he was an addictive bridge player. And he had addictions such as watching movies, watching TV, reading the paper, and eating. Those were all things that occupied him and really kept him from being present or with his family, even when he was with his family. And then my mother was a food addict and a spender and a rager. And that's how I was impacted. But as we go through these 20 characteristics, you'll see that whether it's an alcoholic family or not, some of the characteristics also apply to other dysfunctions. My mother was diabetic, so there was this constant chaos and, police or ambulances coming, and like you might get in an alcoholic family. So what I did was, Janet Wojcicki had 13 characteristics of alcoholics, and I added 7 to make 20 because I just thought there was a whole lot more. I'm going to start with comments on her 7, or her 13, and then I'm going to finish with my 7. So, number 1, adult children of alcoholics guess at what normal behavior is. My best friend is a fellow who didn't know what it was, but he was gay as he was growing up, and he didn't have anybody to talk to, and it wasn't safe to talk. It wasn't safe to be himself. So he guessed his way through his adolescence, and it was awkward. He really didn't know how to be a teenager. He didn't know how to date. And now in his 50s, he tells me, "I'm learning how to date now." So that's real common if you grow up in a highly dysfunctional family, is there's nobody present to mentor you and to guide you. You're guessing. You are guessing. Adult children of alcoholics have difficulty following a project through from beginning and end. When you grow up with a lot of chaos, then you tend to replicate that chaos in your own life. And you may have all the intentions in the world of completing a project, but this thing's going on over here, and this thing's going on over here, and this thing. You're putting out a lot of fires, and it's hard to stay really, really focused to achieve your goals. Number 3, adult children of alcoholics lie when it would be just as easy to tell the truth. This speaks to safety. When you grow up with an alcoholic and a raging alcoholic or just an inconsistent alcoholic, it's not a safe environment. I read a book once, and the gist of it is why kids lie. And what it came down to is when kids feel safe, they're going to tell the truth every time. But if they don't feel safe, they're going to lie every time. They got cookie crumbs on their chins, and Mama says, "Who ate the cookies?" Well, Mama, it wasn't me, because they don't feel safe with Mama. Mama's got a rage problem. Adult children of alcoholics judge themselves without mercy. I just finished my book on shame, healing toxic shame through recovery, and it's at the editor, and I'm collecting photos to go in the digital downloadable version, and that's what this is talking about. It's talking about shame, judging themselves without mercy. And that's one of the joyful things that I get to do as a therapist, is I get to sit with people and tell them, no, the voice that you're using on yourself is way, way, way too mean. You're not, a so-and-so, this is why you're doing it. So try to be more gracious and kind and forgiving with yourself. Number 5, children of alcoholics have difficulty having fun. You grow up, life's serious. There's not enough money to get bread and milk. You're having a paper route so that you can have enough to eat. And that's the foundation of your life. I have some clients who are very wealthy and retired, and they live a whole different way of living than what I do, or what most people do. Most of us have to work really hard, but if you're balanced, you can play hard and you can work hard. And we, adult children of alcoholics or dysfunctional families, we tend to be a serious bunch, and I'll get to in a little bit, people that aren't so serious at all. They're underly serious. Number 6, adult children of alcoholics take themselves very seriously. And that's one that goes along with the not having fun, is you didn't get to be a kid. The job of a kid is to play, so that when we get to be old, we still know how to play. We know how to go to concerts, and we know how to make friends, and we know how to go on vacation. But when you're busy taking care of your parents when you're 10, in my case, I was basically the parent of a baby, my little sister, when I was 10. Life gets pretty serious. And one of the challenges for our recovery process is to learn how to lighten up a little bit and have some fun. Number 7, adult children of alcoholics have difficulty with intimate relationships. I want to say, duh. And this is one I'll expound on. When you're wounded as a child, those who've watched my videos know this, we tuck that away behind psychological defenses, and then it sits dormant throughout our childhood and into really, many times we get a break in our 20s where our issues are sort of lying dormant, and on into our 30s. But in our 30s, many times we wake up and we realize that cool dude that we married, or that cool chick that we married in our 20s, yeah, they're drinking. They're an alcoholic just the way Dad was or Mom was. Who knew? You knew. You didn't know it up here. You knew it in your heart. You had a radar system to where you knew who they were gonna be. I'm serious. That's exactly true. Same thing as if they're ragers, controllers, liars, ball droppers. However you were wounded, you're gonna marry it. So yeah, that causes just a little teensy tiny problem with intimate relationships. One, you don't have the tools to be really very intimate or vulnerable or non-reactive. And two, you marry the devil. You marry your worst nightmare. You marry a hidden, very cleverly hidden version of the people who hurt you the most. That's what love is. Adult children of alcoholics overreact to changes over which they have no control. Amen to that. My significant other, she didn't grow up with alcoholics, but she, if she's with me, she obviously grew up in a really dysfunctional family. And if there's a last second change of plans, girlfriend gets quite goofy. She gets reactive. She really is in a lot of pain over it, and it's nobody's fault. That's life. Plans change at the last minute. But she really doesn't like it, and she takes it sort of personally because of the instability and the lack of power that she had in her family growing up. Number 9, adult children of alcoholics constantly seek approval and affirmation. We didn't get enough unconditional love growing up. Many times the main source or the richest source for unconditional love was the family dog. That's true. And so you grow up just thirsting and hungering for approval and affirmation because you just didn't get enough, and that fuels a lot of the workaholism and a lot of the relationship addiction because you want to be loved in one way or another. Number 10, adult children of alcoholics usually feel that they're different from other people. And that's part of the message that I want to give to you adult children of alcoholics is you're probably not very different. We're all dysfunctional. We're all some form. Hi, this is Mark Smith with Family Tree Counseling again. I apologize. The previous video, we'll call it part 1, just ran out of space on my iPad, so we'll call this part 2, and I'm just going to pick up right where I left off, and maybe it's better that way. So, number 10, adult children of alcoholics usually feel that they're different from other people, and I was saying, you're the same. We're all crazy. We're all dysfunctional. We're all broken. And yeah, there are some unique things about the out-of-control nature of an alcoholic parent. But in many ways, there are other addictions, whether it be a relationship addiction that a parent had, having an affair, or an enmeshed relationship with food, that can mood alter in almost as dramatic ways as alcohol. Number 11, adult children of alcoholics are super responsible or they're super irresponsible. And most of you have learned about family roles and how, many times the oldest kid in the family is the family hero, and they're overly responsible, and they're sort of a parent in the family. I was one of those. I'm second oldest of 7. But many times toward the younger, not always, sometimes it's flipped around, but many times the youngest one is sort of crippled by how the parents have either checked out even more, or there's enmeshment and holding on to that baby of the family. The baby in our family, she's struggled in life because my 2 parents, they were just done, and she was on her own, and she really suffered from just a lack of development, and it's hard for her to take care of herself for a number of reasons. Number 12, adult children of alcoholics are extremely loyal, even in the face of evidence that the loyalty is undeserved. And that's, dating somebody who, is the devil, and you tell yourself they're not so bad, or staying in a job that you get mistreated in and underpaid and abused, but you're loyal to those people because all you had in your family growing up was your alcoholic parent and your enabler, or your 2 alcoholic parents, and then that you were loyal to them because they were all you had. And so now you've got this tendency to be over loyal to dysfunctional and non-nurturing systems and people. Number 13, adult children of alcoholics are impulsive. They tend to lock themselves into a course of action without giving serious consideration to alternative behaviors or possible consequences. This impulsively leads to confusion, self-loathing, and loss of control over their environment. In addition, they spend an excessive amount of energy cleaning up the mess. Early in my life, I would do this. I would quit things. I quit the basketball team when I was at Taylor University so that I could pray more. But then later I wanted back, and I couldn't get back. I quit a job when I was in Bible school in Tulsa, Oklahoma, but then I went to the new place and it didn't feel right. So I wanted back, and they did let me back, but it was embarrassing. I quit my freshman year, after my freshman year at Taylor University, because I was going to come home and rescue the family and take care of the family and work, even though that's the last thing I wanted. But then it was killing me, and by the end of the summer I did go back to Taylor, but it was embarrassing, and I lost my place on the dormitory hall, and I had a bad place to live, and I was lonely, and I had no clothes, I had no money. So again, we lack mentors, we lack stability. Sometimes we just do what we think is right in the moment, and it turns out, not to be so right. So now we're going to launch into mine. Hers might be better, but we're going to launch into mine. Adult children of alcoholics have major abandonment issues. I don't know that back when this book was written in the late 80s, I believe, if there was a lot of focus on abandonment, but there's a song out, and the lady says, she's singing, I forget who it is, but she says, you chose drugs over me. And, that's what mom and dad did, or, at least one of your parents did, is they chose alcohol over you. And that will create tremendous abandonment because, they're just not present. And one is focused on rescuing the other, and neither are really present for you. And that's severe abandonment. And then in adult life, you'll be highly sensitive to real or imagined distancing by your significant other or by your friends, where somebody says, hey, I can't make it such and such, and it should bother you this much, but it bothers you this much. It's abandonment issues. So I would recommend, I have a book on abandonment called Managing Abandonment Issues Through Recovery. It's on our website, familytreecounseling.com, and it discusses how overreaction to distancing can be very, very painful and very, very messy and very destructive to a relationship. Number 15, adult children of alcoholics have a great deal of anxiety when they have to deal with chaos, disorganization, and disorder. I grew up in a lot of chaos, and I'd like a house. It doesn't have to be clean, it does have to be neat. I want everything in its place at all times. And if I don't have that, then I feel a sense of chaos. And many adult children of alcoholics are sort of neatniks. I joke with my brother, albeit it happened this past Christmas. I'll be at his house on Christmas Day, and we had dinner, and I had a root beer with some Bailey's Irish cream poured in there, and it was tasting mighty good. But I left to go get some dessert, and I came back, and it was in the sink. And I said, dude, I was drinking that, but it was chaos to him. He had to clean it up and get it in the sink. Number 16, adult children of alcoholics grow up and marry alcoholics, drug addicts, and spouses of other addictions who have other addictions like work, food, religion, gambling, television, computers, etc. And that's what I was saying earlier is you think, part of us, originally we thought we can just leave our issues in our childhood, but of course we marry them and we carry them on. And it's a rough system. I've often said when I get to heaven, I'm going to ask God, is there any other way that we could have had people be motivated to heal and work on their childhood issues than to have them instinctively be attracted to and marry the very thing that made them utterly miserable? And I know the answer. God is a loving and a caring God, and He'll say if there was another way, we'd have used it. But this is what we were left to, and it's the only way. So I give a lot of dating advice to people in midlife because they have to go into, I coach them to go into it very slowly with their eyes open, and as soon as something comes up, bring your new partner in and we'll get them in recovery, and we'll find out what their family of origin issues, and we'll find out why they married you, and we'll get a lot of work done whether you end up with them or whether you don't. But that increases your chances considerably of getting to a place where you have a relationship that's workable, and it has more windows of heaven than it has windows of hell. Number 17, some adult children of alcoholics use humor compulsively to medicate their pain, get acceptance, and to calm the anxiety of others. So one of the earlier ones is adult children of alcoholics are too serious and don't have fun, and this is the mascot in the family roles. Many times it's the youngest in the family. There was a study done, and it was seen that many of the world's great comedians historically have been the youngest child in an alcoholic family. And they learned to be cute, they learned to get attention, they learned to calm the anxiety in the family by being funny, and then they just made a profession out of it. Whereas us older kids, we tend to be rescuers and we become therapists or missionaries or ministers or nurses or teachers or doctors. But I've had several fellows who come to group therapy and they're so funny we don't get any work done. And they have to go out of their way during group to not be funny as part of their recovery process so that they can be serious when it's time to be serious. Okay, number 18, adult children of alcoholics have black and white thinking. And this is very true. Because, again, you grew up with chaos. You grew up with insanity. You want to hold on to something that's true. It's either black or it's white. It's either good or it's bad. And this whole gray area, we don't like gray. You know, we want to know exactly what's true and what's not true, and not futz around with the gray department, you know, because it brings it calms your anxiety that you've carried around your entire life. Number 19, adult children of alcoholics tend to be compulsively rescuing. And so many of the adult children of alcoholics that I work with in midlife go back to school to become counselors, and they become alcohol counselors, drug abuse counselors, marriage counselors, and that's wonderful. But just know what you're being driven by. You know, we grow up, and these people, these powerful people who are supposed to be our parents, we see them being, you know, pathetic and weak and overwhelmed, and we just want to take care of them. We want to rise up and quell our own anxiety by parenting our parents and being able to calm them so that we can be calmed. And that becomes a driving factor. I believe rescuing has gotten as many couples together almost as sex has. So if you're a rescuer and you see a wounded bird, the wounded bird seems sort of attractive and intriguing. So that's one of the things you have to work on, is to not be a rescuer, but rather to find your place in your new profession, but really take good care of yourself in the process. And we're at the last one. Many adult children of alcoholics do not allow themselves to admit that they grew up with an alcoholic. So many of my clients that I work with, they downplay the alcoholism. They see it as, you know, dad had a little bit of a temper, or, you know, mom would have cocktails. They'd have cocktails in the evening. But to call it alcoholism, there's a tendency to, really deny who we are and where we came from, because it feels like we're being disloyal to a parent, especially if a parent, died and is deceased. We feel like we're somehow betraying them, and we're not betraying them. I tell people, we're not trying to blame anybody. We're trying to name what in fact did occur in your childhood. That's all. That's all we're trying to do. I tell people, I point to a closet near where we're sitting, and I say, I wish that was a time capsule that I could go sit in and go back in time and have dinner with your family when you were 7. And I'd come back, I'd be able to tell you exactly what the dynamics were with one dinner. But many times people who grew up in a dysfunctional family, they're too close to the forest to even see the trees. So sometimes in marital work, we have to uncover the truth about what did occur in your childhood, because if you're married to an alcoholic and a rager and a liar and a stealer and a sex addict, you did not grow up with Beavy Cleavy, and it didn't happen. You did not grow up in a healthy home. And let's take a look at how many beers did Dad have every week, or how many cocktails did they have every evening, and how did it affect their mood? So those are 20 characteristics of adult children of dysfunctional families and adult children of alcoholics that many of us, we have to struggle with. Life is hard for us. Recovery works, but it doesn't work quickly, and it doesn't fix everything. But it's a joy to be able to get a little bit healthier every year. and to have more hope every year. And if you're in a relationship, if both people are doing the work, you can get a little healthier every year. You're not going to have bliss. You're not going to be an 8 on the mental health scale. You're going to be closer to 4, which is pretty good. That's actually pretty good. Most people are closer to 3. So you do your work, you get close to being a 4 or 4.5, then you're blessed. You're a blessed person. So thank you for watching today. I want to encourage you. We have other ACOA videos on our channel by Jerry Wise, who does amazing work. I want to encourage you to visit our website, familytreecounseling.com. We've got 5 and soon to be 6 ebooks that are available. A couple of them are free, and now 4 of them are going to be for sale. Again, the shame book, Healing Toxic Shame Through Recovery, is going to be out in 2 to 3 weeks whenever my assistant can get it laid out, and we'll get it up online. So thank you so much for watching the video. You adult children of alcoholics, you are my brothers, you are my sisters, and I'm glad to be in your club. It's a good club filled with good people, and thank you so much for watching, and God bless you.